The Michigan Wolverines travel to East Lansing this Saturday to take on Michigan State in the Michigan rivalry, the State of Michigan rivalry. So that should be an interesting matchup. I'll be there covering it. My name's Ricky Lindsay, joined alongside Michael Holzman, staff reporter. So we're going to preview some of the Michigan State and Michigan matchup right now. We're going to talk about our keys to the game, and then give a little prediction as well at the end. So Holzman, what do you think the keys to the game are for both teams?
Well, probably the strongest asset for this Michigan State Spartans team is their defense. They're absolutely deadly. They're number one in Division I football by far when it comes to rushing defense, and number 3 in passing defense. One of the big keys for Michigan is going to have to find a way to score points on these guys, because even though Michigan State's offense isn't spectacular by any means, Michigan's defense definitely has plenty of holes that could find a couple of touchdowns for State.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Like Mike said, Michigan State has by far one of the best defenses in the country. Like he said, number 3 pass defense, number 1 rush defense. The rushing defense for Michigan State has allowed 54.88 yards per game. That's tops in the FBS. And an amazing stat that was on Twitter yesterday by I think Chris Fowler. They've allowed 71 total rushing yards before contact to running backs. That's insane to think about. The next team has allowed 227 before contact. So that just goes to tell you, how either weak the running backs that Michigan State has faced, or how strong their running game is, their running defense is. So what are your thoughts on all that, Mike?
Well, I mean, it was the same thing last year with Michigan State, that mainly the big key to the team was their defense, and also another strong suit's their rushing game as well. They got Jeremy Langford, clearly the heir to Le'Veon Bell, and it also seems like on offense that they finally found their quarterback in Connor Cook.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Is Connor Cook going to look like he looked, the first couple of games where they struggled and had a quarterback controversy with, I think, 4 players? Or is he going to look like, one of the stars of the Big Ten, playing one of Michigan's, weaker passing defenses, one of the weaker passing defenses in the whole nation. So it should be an interesting matchup. So now we'll hit to the keys of the game for Michigan. What do you think Michigan has to do to win the game?
Well, besides scoring on the defense, I think defensively for Michigan, they definitely have to contain Langford. I think Langford's a bigger threat to score points for State than Connor Cook. You're not exactly sure which Connor Cook's going to show up. You don't know which Devin Gardner's going to show up either.
Yeah.
But unlike Michigan, State has a pretty consistent running game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be interesting. Like you said, Michigan boasts a really strong rushing defense. I believe they're top 15 in the country. But that's about it. I mean, obviously their offense, but they haven't really faced a good defensive team. So right now, you're going to find out which team Michigan is. Are they a contender or pretender? So you're going to find out that quick on Saturday. Starting at 3:30, it's gonna be shown. So, but I believe that the key to the game for Michigan is like you said, the passing defense. Obviously, allowing I think 303 yards to a true freshman at Penn State, which was Christian Hackenberg. You don't want to do the same thing with Connor Cook, because Michigan State can obviously beat you with the running game that they have. But I think it depends on the Michigan's offensive line too. A lot of new, fresh faces on the line that weren't up there. When the season started, a lot of young players. Obviously anchored by Taylor Lewan, but it kind of depends. Are they going to give the the running backs and obviously Devin Gardner? Are they going to give them enough time to do what they need to do? Obviously Gardner, if he's going to have to run, he's going to have to run. But is he going to have enough time to throw with all of Michigan State's rushing defense?
Yeah, and this is definitely, when you're looking at the big picture for the Big Ten Championship, who's going to go to Indianapolis and who's just going to have to wait for their lesser bowl game than a potential BCS berth. This is a must-win game for Michigan, because if they lose and put a loss against the Spartans on top of the Nittany Lions, even though it's not impossible for them to go to Indianapolis, it's not going to... the opponents they're going to face down the road, Nebraska and Ohio State, they're not going to be any easier than Michigan State. So if Michigan wants to go to Indianapolis, this is a must-win game.
And unfortunately for Michigan's hopes too, Michigan State doesn't play Ohio State this year. The only team that could match them remaining on their schedule would probably be Nebraska. So you also have to take that into consideration too. And like this is a do or die game. All season since the media day, we've heard Big Ten championship, Rose Bowl. Well, it's do or die right now. You're either gonna have the Big Ten championship game, or you're gonna be enjoying your probably your New Year's, or even mid Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's little holiday out in Phoenix at the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl. So a lot of the stakes are high in this game. I believe both teams are 6-1. I think Michigan State's 7-1. So it's gonna be a fun matchup. But what are your predictions, Mike?
Well, I think it's going to be a very similar looking game to last year. It's going to be very close. I think this is going to come down to a last-minute field goal. I could see this being settled by 3 or less points.
Okay. You have a score?
I'm probably going to go with Michigan 24, Michigan State 21.
Okay. That's pretty solid. I have 2 predictions, actually, and it all involves Devin Gardner. Which Devin Gardner is going to show up? We don't know. Obviously, this is why we're doing this. If Devin Gardner plays like he did, I think against Minnesota and Indiana, huge games through the year, and against Notre Dame too. Other than the last I think third quarter mistake with the interception, Michigan has a good chance of winning. But if Devin Gardner has 2 turnovers like he did in UConn, if he has a bad game and just struggles and can't find that rhythm with his receivers, which has looked a lot better, with Jeremy Gallen's emergence and even Devin Funchess, now that he's, out at wide receiver. But, with A.J. Williams being suspended for this game after being arrested for a DUI this past weekend, is Funchess going to come back to tight end, to help out, clear that way. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of things riding on this game. So if Devin Gardner plays a really good game and, you see what he can do through the air, because he's obviously a dual threat, but I don't think he's going to show that this weekend. I see Michigan winning probably. This is a tough game to pick. Probably 18-15. But if Devin Gardner struggles, I see probably Michigan State winning a close one, 21-18. So. And
it probably hurt Michigan's offense if Funchess doesn't go out wide, because if you have Funchess at one end at wide out and Gallen at the other wide out position,
mm-hmm.
It's going to really make it difficult for Michigan State, because their biggest cornerback, Darqueze Dennard, he can only cover one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, so many things that, are going to go into it. It's going to be a good game. And, Michigan I know the Michigan players, they all consider Michigan State little brother. But, I think Michigan State has a 3-1 advantage the past couple of years. So, if Michigan loses this one, it's going to be 4-1 Michigan State since, I think, 2010. So, I think you're going to have to start thinking that little brother's in Ann Arbor. So, I know Michigan fans don't want to hear that. It's certainly something that's going to get a lot of attention. But you have to start considering, hey, Michigan State's, playing a really good game, really good football. They're not just a basketball school anymore. So, any closing thoughts, Mike?
Well, actually, to correct you, it's been since 2009. Last year was the first time since I was in high school that Michigan beat Michigan State.
Well, see, there you have it.
And I got plenty of Spartan fans in my family, and I hadn't heard the end of it until last year.
Okay, yeah. See, it's been a while. He's been here for a while, so we definitely know that. So it should be a good game. I'll be covering it live through Twitter at rlindsay35 and on the MJ Sports Twitter at TMJ Sports. So follow both of us. I'll be on there throughout the day. Should have some live photos this week too, from Amanda Goslin, our photo editor. So it should be a fun game.
He'll be in the press box. I'll be in the parking lot.
Yeah. So this was our Michigan Journal sports preview for the Michigan and Michigan State game. Thank you for watching. I'm Ricky Lindsay.
I'm Mike Holzman.
See you later and have fun watching the game.